official document coming.
I'd like to get the meeting underway here tonight on this day, Monday, April 13th, 2015. If our Clerk Kornecki could please call the roll for us tonight.
It's Trustee Aiello, Trustee Bolthus.
Here.
Trustee Taglia.
Here.
Trustee Case. Trustee Wagner.
Here.
President Bowinkle.
Here. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I will lead us in the pledge tonight. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If y'all could remain standing for one more second, I'm going to ask Trustee Taglia to lead us in prayer tonight.
Certainly. Our Heavenly Father, will thou be pleased to grant that this meeting thus begun in order, be conducted in peace, and closed in harmony. Amen.
Amen. Okay. We are on the Committee of the Whole agenda. Item number 3, and for those of you with us tonight, if you didn't grab an agenda, we have some extras in the rack on the door right outside of the chamber here. So, item number 3 on the COW is amendments to the agenda, the COW agenda. Does anybody on the board wish to make any amendments on the COW? No? Okay. We're going to move on to item number 4 then. The Fire Department is pleased to announce the winners of the 2014 Adopt a Hydrant program. So, Chief Ron Rakosnik from our Fire Department's approaching.
I think we're all here.
I think we have everybody.
I don't know if you see Vivian.
We have their pictures. Everybody can see their pictures up
We got
front.
the 3 hydrants over here to my right.
Pretty awesome.
This is kind of interesting. This is a very difficult thing to pick out. We get some beautiful hydrants, and it's really hard. It seems easy, but there are some awesome hydrants and some great jobs that these people do. So, with further ado, I'll start out with the 3rd place, and that was Vivian Pasick. I don't know if she's here or not. Mary, did she make it in? She had the Spider-Man all the way on the right hydrant, and that was at 637 South Cornell. So we have a $25 gift card to Target for her.
Oh, very
So
nice.
we'll make sure we pass it on to her. So thank you.
Yes, looks great. Looks just like Spider-Man.
All right.
It's very nice.
2nd place, I believe it's to my left here. Correct? No. Over here, I'm sorry.
Okay.
To my right, excuse me. This hydrant's at 720 South Yale. It's a small world. It's right there in the middle, off to my right. A wonderful painting. Looks like it took some time. It really is an awesome hydrant. So, come on up, Kanaski family. And I have a gift card for them, a $50 gift card from Target as well.
Great.
So,
Congratulations. Oh. Holding on tight there, huh? Did everybody paint a little bit?
thank you.
Everybody do a little bit on that? Yeah.
Did a little bit.
Yeah, it looks great. Really, really pretty. How'd you come up with the theme? I'm just curious.
Maybe a library book they checked out.
Library book. Oh, that's fabulous. Pretty good. Awesome.
All right.
Congrats.
And the last one, the 2014 winner, is a hydrant at 818 South Michigan Avenue. And it's the winner was Madeline Ulrich. Step up. I believe Madeline couldn't make it tonight. She's at college or at work. So her mother, Jenny, is here to accept a $100 gift card from Walmart. So
Oh, wow.
thank you very, very much. We really appreciate it. Nice job.
Great.
And before I end, I just want to thank my assistant, Mary Hornbeck. She took the photos, and all the people that painted their hydrants in
Yes.
2014. And we got another year coming up now, so
Looks like it starts May 1st.
find a hydrant, call Mary. She'll help you out.
Yeah.
Let's get some hydrants painted. So
Do we
thanks
know
again.
how many we've had painted so far? Do we know?
300, and I think
300,
how many
and we have-
hydrants in the village? Just 1,000.
Okay.
There you go.
1,016. All
Thanks,
right.
Mary.
Got a third of the way.
We've scratched
So
the
1,000.
surface.
So we're about
Yeah.
almost a third. So,
Yeah.
so.
This
Anyways,
program's
thanks
been
again.
The program's been around, what, a few years now? The Egan family brought this forward.
Brought it up before I came, and I think
Joey.
2011.
Yeah. Yeah. So That's really cool. And on our website, if anybody's interested in adopting a hydrant, they can go to www.invillapark.com
Correct.
and get all the details. So.
Call
Or
Fire
call me.
Station 81 or call
Or
me,
yes.
she'll help you out.
Yes.
Again, thank you.
Yes,
And thanks
thank
to all-
you.
everybody who participated.
Pretty awesome. It's a great program. All right. Okay, item number 5 on the Committee of the Whole is discussion only for tonight. Presentation on comprehensive flood control analysis by Christopher B. Burke Engineering Limited. So I'm going to toss it over to our staff, and we have Christopher Burke and his team here. So we'll do a quick little intro, and we'll get into the study part of the evening here.
Just to give you a little background information, a little over a year ago in the aftermath of some tremendous storms in April of 2013, which the village received over 9 inches of rain, we commissioned 2 flood control studies. The first presentation presented by Christopher Burke will focus on most of the village excluding the Sugar Creek Basin. The second presentation from V3 will focus solely on the Sugar Creek Basin. So the first one's going to cover a larger area, so it's going to take a little bit longer to get through all the findings, but I think you'll find it very interesting. So without further ado, Christopher Burke.
Yes, thanks. We have a lot of reading to do. This is just one of the 2 booklets.
Thank you, Vitas. First of all, we appreciate the opportunity to be here. I just want to briefly, I have Gina Gowan and Jerry Robinson who can answer all the tough questions, if there are tough questions. And I know that I'm on a time diet, so I'm going to get right into this. Okay, I hear some noises. Okay.
We need an
All right.
engineer to
the-
fix the
All right.
computer.
So very quickly, I'm going to be going through the study background, what we did, the methods we used, and the 13 areas. So each one of the areas that we identified or you identified and had us work on, we took a look at what's out there today by doing computer models, which I'll briefly talk about, found out what the 100-year, and that's a term that we use all the time, it's got a 1% chance of occurring. None of us have anything close to a 1% chance of winning the lottery or any other game of chance. The existing level of flood protection, and we've identified a number of drainage improvements. This is at a concept level, but you're going to find that we have the tools that allow us to look at any other lower level protection or different level protection. We've done all the heavy lifting now, and you have now a lot of computer models. So as you just heard, as a result of, it seems like it's happened 6 months ago, but it was April 2013, we started looking at it. I've already told you what we're doing here, and we looked at the objectives here. Provide 100-year level protection for the homes. Try to get those homes protected, eliminate combined sewer overflows, keep that under control. And what we want to stress is that we did not work in a vacuum. We worked to make sure we're compatible with RGN as well as V3. So everything that we've done in our study that you're about to hear is coordinated with those other consultants. So this is all one piece. So as you guys already know, you have about 30,000 acres. The southern portion of the village drains into Sugar Creek, about 870 acres of that. And that's a tributary, of course, of Salt Creek. Northern part drains directly into Salt Creek, and you have a combined sewer area of 900 acres, and the remaining is separate. And I'll talk about what those things mean, just in case that you have somehow forgotten. This is a legacy system. You, like many of the older communities throughout the Midwest, have a legacy sewer system where in that one section of town, you have the wastewater. And today there's no problem. Wastewater's going in there. It's going to the wastewater treatment plant. Everything's good. When it has a rainfall event, it's not designed to take all that stormwater. Stormwater fills up. It overwhelms the wastewater treatment plant. It overwhelms all the sewer systems. So you have backups in the homes as well as combined sewer overflows, which is all you well know probably better than I. It's very, very undesirable. And these are little schematics, and you've seen these before. Now, obviously, since you were developed in the 20s, starting in the 20s, like every other community that is of your vintage, you have this combined sewer legacy system. And as I said, you've started on a path since the 70s to separate those out. It's complicated, it's expensive, and with the other legacy infrastructure that you have, it gets very time consuming. So you're still looking at separating the sanitary and storm sewer systems. So here are the 13 areas that we were charged to look at, and they're spread across the entire spectrum of the village. So we have combined sewer systems, we have storm sewer systems with a separate sanitary sewers, and we have floodplain. So we have kind of three different types of projects that we've looked at. Now, some of the names are only names engineers will come up with, so excuse me. Washington Street, we're looking at the side roads at Washington, not Washington itself, and Brer Rabbit may be just a convenient location for us to name these. So I'm going to go through each one of them, try to describe what's out there today and what we did. We looked at all the different things that engineers look at, previous studies, the GIS database that you have. We did field investigations. You have great topographic mapping. And as I mentioned earlier, we utilized the RJN related work as well. So what we do is we develop models. I mean, engineers sit in there, a lot of them sit at their desk and run models to simulate what you have out here, because it's kind of hard. You don't want us to walk up and down the street and say, I think the water goes that way or maybe goes this way. We developed, with all that data, topographic information, of these really detailed computer models. As I said, you have a great deal of information on the sewers. We came up with some parameters to say, all right, it's pretty dense here, and the street's draining pretty fast to these structures, and that's the parameters that we discussed there. And we use the model, and I'm only going to say it once, XP SWIM. Only engineers can come out, stormwater management model. That's what the SWMM stands for. And we looked at we looked at the April event, the one that Vitas talked about, and then we looked at a bunch of design events, and I'll talk briefly about those. So this is what the model gets us. And so this is, when everything's done, you see that up there is a drawing that shows where the pipe is. This is the pipe. And this will tell us what the ground elevation is and how high the water gets in those pipes. So we developed these. The great thing is, compared to 10, 15 years ago, these computer models say, all right, how much can get in the pipe? What happens to the water when it can't get in the pipe? And you're going to see a lot of your problems result in water flowing downhill, down the roads on overland flow routes, and they causes, even though it's separate, it causes collateral impact, which is combined sewer overflows. And I'm going to say in all these cases, potential combined sewer overflows in these areas. So we use these, and we looked at, the computer model says, allows us to say, what if? What if we make this pipe bigger? What if we put some storage here? What happens if we divert some of the stormwater runoff? In addition, you can use it as you go forward with some of the green infrastructure, looking at how much storage you can place in some of these locations. So I'm going to go through this in seconds here, but because you guys have heard this and it's mind-numbing, we looked at those storm events, and each one of those storm events that you see comes with a rainfall depth. And what we did, so everybody is over the years knows that the 100-year is level protection, 1%. You have, in many cases, combined sewer, storm sewers that are in this level protection, which has a 20 and 50% chance of being exceeded each and every year. So these are not once in your life. So as many of us know, there isn't only one 100-year flood. We learned that in '87 on Salt Creek. And so some people say, hey, I'm done. I'm only going to be around another 70 years. I don't have to worry about that. So we know that these are each and every year. That's how we do it. So what we also did is look at a bunch of durations. So what we had is a whole menu of different results to allow us to look at and plot a strategy for different flood control alternatives. So we did critical storm duration. It's more important for you to know that we did it rather than knowing the nuances. Just as a little memory, because things start getting in the rearview mirror. We've had some whoppers, 2008, 10, 11, and 13. Those are the types of rainfalls that you've had to deal with. And if you're looking at it when you have A 10-year event, that's about a little bit over 2 inches of rain in 60 minutes. A 100-year event is 2 inches of rain in 15 minutes. Just to give you a perspective. And so what we can do, we throw these numbers into the computer model, and it says how much runoff's generated, how bad the sewer gets. So this is how the 9 inches, and you know the rain gets higher as you go up, and you can see that it fell in a relatively short period of time. So what we did is we also made sure that these computer models were well calibrated, make sure they made sense. We just didn't throw these together. And we calibrated with survey data. We used these to simulate the data events. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say in here, we're going to say, what is the level of protection? And that's really important because everybody says, why am I in the... And we just heard about whether you're in the floodplain or not in the floodplain. And here's a little exhibit that here's the 2-year, and these obviously a more significant the storm, the higher the water gets. And if you have a situation where you don't get flooded in the 50, but you get flooded with the 100, you have a 50-year level protection. You don't have a 100-year level protection, you have a 50-year. When I say these people are in the 100-year inundation area, that does not mean they're in the floodplain. I want to be very careful, and because of the meeting that we just I went into, so it's very important. So that's the exhibit. So flood, I'm going to talk about volumes. You can hear this all the time. Your whole life as elected officials, we as engineers like to use acre foot. An acre foot is 1 acre of land, 1 feet deep. And we all think we know what an acre of land is. We certainly know what 1 foot deep is. But to put that in perspective, that's a flat football field. Most of them are crowned. But for a second, a football field, 1 foot deep, about 5,900 rain barrels, 2,500, almost a half a mile of roadway with permeable pavement is 1 acre feet. Some people say, well, let's put small diameter pipe in. So if you put a 12-inch pipe, you've got 55,000 lineal feet of 12-inch pipe for 1 acre foot. And to give everybody perspective, Elmer's Quarry is 8,300 acre feet. So conceptual cost estimates that I'm going to present looks at the big ticket item, storm sewers, manholes. We include a 30% contingency, 7.5% engineering. Someone's going to say that's pretty high. We're seeing the contingency. We're seeing escalation compared to last year. This year we're seeing higher prices from the underground contractors, so 30% contingency is not out of line. I think you should also, when you look at this in a year or 2 years, remember these are in 2015 dollars. These are not in what's going to be projected in 2018 or beyond. We did not include any estimate of land acquisition, nor did we include permanent or temporary construction easements and any relocated utilities and the cost of recreational facilities and open spaces. So that, and we did not try to include those. So let me start with the first area, which is called Washington, but we're really looking at an area between Ardmore and Summit, Euclid and to the east, and then Monterey on the far east. In this particular case, Madison is right here, and some of this area in purple, and all these exhibits, it's pretty uniform. Purple is storm water runoff that is going to, most of the time, into a storm sewer, and in the gold is the combined sewer drainage area. So those areas still drain directly to a combined sewer. In this particular case, you have problems because the storm sewer gets filled up and the water starts going downhill, and it's intercepted by inlets that go into a combined sewer, surcharging this combined sewer. You go further to the east, you have the same thing occurring, and then in this this angle here over to Monterey, you have one more area. So these fill up, and this I'll show you what they look like. So the idea here is to what happens if we, what is the objective? And the objective is to eliminate combined sewer overflows in this area and to take that 66 acres of area and eliminate this surcharging. So this is a pretty big project. This is, you're starting out with a very large one. As you know, it goes to the north and east into to overflow. So the two main problems, Illinois and Summit and Euclid and Villa, those are the two main flooding areas. Intense rainfalls, I've said this, two depressional areas, and this leads to structural flooding. So we have combined sewer overflows and structural flooding in this area. And I should say that we're compatible with the capital improvement plan and making sure that this is part of the area. So here, these brown areas, and they're not yellow, they're not gold, they're brown. That's where potential combined sewer overflows will occur at those two locations. And so you can see that when these occur, it floods out structures and it accumulates because this is a depressional area here. Same thing over here, and the stormwater keeps on going and causing problems for the area. So, as I said, there's two these areas, 400 Monterey Street Study area. This goes to a 48-inch combined sewer that receives a significant volume from stormwater. Once a depression overtops, you start having collateral impacts, and the water starts going through this area. So you get more potential combined sewer overflow inundation areas. And so what we did is we looked at measures. And so what we looked at, two alternatives. One is to convert the existing combined sewer into a storm sewer and put in a new sanitary sewer. That's one option. And the other one is to do the reverse, and it's provide a new storm sewer. And the combined sewer remains a sanitary sewer. Now, we see this in a lot of communities. There's a lot of communities that are doing this right now, doing the sewer separation. Most of the time, I should say about 75% of the time, the combined sewer is transferred over to a sanitary sewer, which is what alternative 2, as you're going to see, that's less expensive. So what this project, this is a beefy project. There's over almost $15 million it eliminates, and we're putting in brand new storm sewer in this particular case. A brand new sanitary sewer in yellow. So this whole area, every one of the services have to be reconnected up here. So this eliminates all of the CSOs. It takes 66 acres and takes it out, and it also eliminates the I&I that is currently experienced in the existing combined sewer.
15 million just for the area here.
Yes.
Not combined, not to use
Nope.
that word in this way.
Yes, this is all
Just this
everything you
area.
see in yellow.
Yeah.
That's it. So it's pricey. So you can decrease some of that cost if you turn it into a new storm sewer, because you're not spending the time to reconnect all the houses. You don't have to have a storm sewer in front of each and every house like you have to have with a sanitary sewer. It's not a take it or leave it proposition with the sanitary sewer. So this eliminates it down to 10.6. You still have the high I&I in the combined sewer that you otherwise would not have. So this gives you that was for 100-year level protection. In this particular case, we also looked at what would be necessary to try to eliminate that area and the diagonal going in a northeast direction on Monterey area. And with this particular case, what we looked at, and once again, these are we're putting in storage. And the idea here is to take the clear water before it becomes filled with combined sewage, clear water, and put it in these storage areas here. And these are in that path where the water goes. So this will 12.4 acre feet. So it's not a small amount. So that's why we gave that little slide giving you a comparison of what the volumes are if you're looking at 100-year level protection. Scaling it down, we have the models to be able to do that, looking at the different alternatives and looking at the cost associated with that. What it does, it takes 15 homes, in addition to the homes that would be displaced by those storage areas, out of the 100-year, and results in very minimal amount of flooding on Monterey. This is $8 million, does not include land acquisition. Okay, so that was the first area, and so I'm going to start on moving quickly on the second and other. This is the Michigan Avenue study area. It's drained by a 15-inch combined sewer that takes 16 acres of land. You don't need to do any computer modeling to know that's probably not going to be adequate in size. And so in this particular case, you have the drainage boundaries in gold that drain into the combined sewer. The primary outlet, as I said, is small, and it's small, ties into a 21 inch, There's existing separate storm sewer. You have lots of CSO potentials occurring for anything, so you have a 50% chance of having a CSO event in this area. Ponding does not occur in Michigan, but it is a potential CSO area. The objective here is to eliminate the potential CSO and separate 16 acres of combined sewer areas. In this particular case, it also required, because you don't want to increase downstream flooding, additional storage. So the idea here is put in storm sewer, convert some of this combined sewer into a storm sewer, new sanitary sewer, that additional storage, it increases the capacity of the downstream sewer system, and it separates 16 acres of land. This is also compatible with the RJN prioritization plan. The Elm Street area is 48 acres. Once again, you have storm sewer, but when the storm sewers get full, you start seeing overland flow headed down to the grates where it can get into the combined sewered areas. So this is a pretty big area. You have a lot of overland flow from the separate storm sewer when it gets filled up, going in and causing potential CSOs. In this particular case, it's going to happen when you have events greater than a 5-year event, and you have up to 2.5 feet of flooding in this area, which results in about 38 homes that are within that inundation. So the objective here is to separate the combined sewer and reduce the overland flow risk and the potential CSO. So we have lots of flooding, so this is what occurs. This is a lot of brown area. There's a lot of homes in those brown areas, and this is based once again on the computer modeling and the overland flow routes going in the now familiar northeast direction. So in this particular case, we looked at putting storage. We do these yellow, and these are so all these storage facilities are all gentle side slopes unless otherwise noted. 4-to-1 side slopes, something that we can all walk down fairly easy. In a couple areas on the presentation, we'll have some underground storage just because it's deep and we need to have it more storage in a smaller surface area. In this particular case, the 2,200 feet of storm sewer separates out that area, removes 18 homes from the 100-year inundation area, eliminates CSOs, reduces overland flow, and as I mentioned earlier, is compatible with the RJN prioritization. The 100-year level protection is at 6.7. Once again, that's the 100-year level protection. We'd obviously have to scale it down or scale it up depending on the objectives and the timing of the other projects. Charles Avenue study area is 7 acres of land. You can see once again a familiar theme. You're seeing the storm water not being able to get in the storm sewer system and going downhill to contribute runoff to the combined sewer areas. So this is a fairly large area. Once again, the Charles and Elm Street intersection causes potential combined sewer overflows, and you have about 1.3 feet of flooding. The objective here is to separate the combined sewer area and reduce ponding at the intersection. Once again, these arrows show that it accumulates at Charles and Elm, and so these are the existing combined sewer overflowed areas. We looked at a project that would provide some underground storage. This is the reason why I mentioned earlier. This is all would have it would be concrete with a top on it and confined with a very small area. And then you'd have to put in some additional storm sewer shown in blue. This is compatible with what RJN has prioritized, and it conveys storm water and reduces the ponding. So this addresses the project. This is a combination of storm sewers and storage. So the Summit Avenue study area is there's 4 acres tributary, 23 acres tributary to the upstream storm sewer system. Once again, storm sewers get surcharged and go right down to the low spot. The 100-year event has about 0.6 acres, 0.6 feet of ponding. Same theme as before, overland flow. The objective here is to separate the combined sewer area, reduce overland flow. This shows you the areas, shows you where the sewage looks like that. The combined sewer potential area, the inundation area. In this particular case, we're looking at the combination of storm sewers and new storage. These are, we are able to drain these. I also want to say one thing. All the storage facilities are drained by gravity. There are no pumps involved. We don't want you to become, power-driven, pumping every time it rains. These are all gravity drained back into the area. This is $1 million, and again, reduce the overland flow, separates out the area, and is compatible with the RGN plan. This particular case, the Villa and Summit Avenue area, you have separate storm sewers, but in the middle you have a combined sewer area that is receiving, again, storm water from already separated areas. You have a surcharge at Thomas and Villa, and it continues to the east. The objective here is to separate out the combined sewer and reduce overland flow, which is a constant thing. You keep on seeing that. That's the objective, is to separate it out and to reduce overland flow. This particular case, you can see the directions. These were all things that were simulated with the computer models. The brown area shows the inundation area, and we only went up, just for point of reference, only went up to the corporate limits of the village. We didn't go to the east. So there may be some areas to the east, but we went right up to Villa and stopped. So in this particular case, this is the existing conditions. This is the proposed conditions, which include, as we've discussed before, storage and storm sewer. And I'm sorry, these are numbered, these are large numbers, and but that's what, when you look at the 100-year level protection, with the 30% contingency, you can see the types of numbers that you're looking at. Again, this is eliminates the, takes 20 homes out of the inundation area, 20 homes, and reduce the overland flow, compatible with RJN, and so $2.1 million. Astor Court and Myrtle Avenue study area. Again, you have 18 acres of land that drains to a combined sewer system, eventually to the Park Boulevard combined sewer system. In this particular case, the results are described there. The objective is to eliminate a potential CSO. And the objective here was to put a new storm sewer system in, showing again in blue, and the creation of additional storage areas. This eliminates the overland flow and eliminates potential CSOs, and is compatible with what RJN has proposed. And it's $1.5 million to provide 100-year level protection here. Brer Rabbit study area. Now this is a little bit different, since it is a separate storm sewer. But those of you that have gone out there know that this is a very irregular area. There's some storage. There's some free-moving water back and forth. There's a pond in back of Brer Rabbit there. In this particular case, you've got about 10 acres that doesn't have that great of an outlet. What we looked at is, like we've looked at all these projects, compensating for the overflow, compensating for the fact that the water fills up 1.9 feet, and we have North Avenue being inundated. So this is not only damaging structures, but North Avenue is at least a lane and a half, maybe more, inundated, and we can show that here. You can see on the top here, you're going to see North Avenue inundated, and so this is a serious problem. You've got lots of plumbing out there shown in red. In this particular case, we're proposing a series of storm sewer, some additional plumbing, and some additional storage at that particular location. So the combination of those storm sewers and the storage is $1.7 million. Twin Lakes, same thing. We have a fairly large drainage area, 230 acres of stormwater. This is not combined sewer, and it all drains, as you can see, into that low-lying areas known as Twin Lakes. These areas don't have a great capacity. There's ponding up to 2 feet deep. It's drained by small sewers and over shallow roadside ditches. The objective is to reduce flooding. So what we did is we took a look and looked at different options here, and that includes coming in. This is the existing area. That's how much area is inundated with the 100-year. What we did is we looked at options that include excavating out in here, providing new sewers in this particular area, draining it into this area, providing additional storage here, and the combination eliminates the 18 homes from the 100-year flood, and it's about $3.3 million to accomplish that. So that would be new storm sewers and additional storage. The Reardon Road Avenue area, this has a lot of ditches, 27 acres, no combined sewers here, but we've got a lot of hybrid drainage. You have about 1.6 feet, up to 1.6 feet. Objective is to eliminate local drainage. You can see the homes that are in the inundation area. You can see this particular project recommendation is to give you a little bit of storage back here, separate or strike that, put additional storm sewers in to pick up the ditches and to get the water in that, and that's a little bit north of $400,000 to do that. Takes 4 homes out of the inundation area. You as elected officials can divide number of homes by dollars and make policy decisions from those options. The Odium obviously has a completely different problem. Unlike all the rest of them, it's surrounded by water, Salt Creek, not a lot of opportunity. It's got a big parking lot. We did not have to do hydraulic analysis. It's been done by others. This is what it looks like for some reason. Since it's a segue from our previous discussion, there's no mapping on the top there to show you where but the Odium's surrounded by water. There are 14 different doors around the Odium. The fire life safety issues have to be adhered to. So the issue, of course, is that this would have to be flood proofed. You have to go to the 100-year and then 2 feet above the perimeter of the Odium to take care of that. There is no other way. There's no excavation. There's no easy way to take care of the extent of the flooding around this building. You don't get into compensation. You can't flood proof generally without having to compensate. But you put a wall around it, have to have closure structures for the 14 some odd entrances. It gets pretty messy. So we talked about that, and you can see that. Rotary Park study area, what we did is we looked at what you can do in this particular area to take care of compensation for other storage facilities in this area. You can look at your having to get 0.8 acre feet. We looked at the existing conditions. Everything except that little parking lot is in the inundation area. So the only way to do this, as you know, is to elevate or excavate out and create storage volume in that particular area. So this allows you to create the storage for Ovaltine. This is the requirement at Ovaltine. You get 0.5, 0.6 at 53 South Euclid, and that's it. So I'm sorry. I knew I had a time constraint, so I think I went a couple minutes over. I apologize, but there's a lot of material. The purpose was to give an overview.
Head's hurting a little bit right
I understand. I understand completely.
I've been keeping track of the numbers. I rounded up, in fairness, I rounded up a little bit, but we're right around 38 million, somewhere in that ballpark.
For the combined sewer
For everything.
Right. That gives you the level, the 100-year level protection. It eliminates not only the flooding identified in those 13 areas, addresses that, and provides 100-year level protection.
Anybody out there have a check they want to write? For $38
Do we want to
million?
entertain questions on this portion, or wait till the end and have questions on everything?
We can, well, I mean, it's a little bit of, a lot of stuff going on now, too. You're absorbing, so you want to wait until.
And obviously, the report is still
Yeah, I know.
labeled
It's
draft because we
a
will still
lot.
be taking comments, we will still be fielding questions, we will be modifying it if necessary,
Right, it's a
because
lot.
there is a lot of information to assimilate there.
Absolutely. So shall we continue and then dig in for questions then? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to continue.
All right, next is Derek Martin from V3, who will present on the Sugar Creek Basin.
Okay. That's a tough act to follow, isn't it?
It's going to be, we worked it out so this will be a little bit quicker. So, again, Chris covered a lot of the background stuff, so we're not going to go into it. We used a lot of the same methodology, the same modeling, all that kind of stuff. So we don't want to reiterate what he just spoke. And we're going to kind of get into the Sugar Creek watershed. And again, the advantage of the Sugar Creek watershed is that it's primarily already all separated, so it's kind of your typical storm water system, so it might be a little easier to kind of follow how it goes. The other thing is Sugar Creek itself is currently being restudied or remapped, as you know, by the county, so we were focused on the localized problem areas outside of the floodplain. There's a little bit of overlap, but generally speaking, we're looking outside of the floodplain areas. Just real quick, this was kind of showing you in relation where Sugar Creek is. It's about a little over 4 square miles. You see quite a bit of it is to the west of us in Lombard. Similarly with the aerial here, and we'll just jump right into the problem areas. We had identified through discussions with the village 4 problem areas. As you see, problem area number 1 is really a pretty large encompassing problem area that has multiple problem areas within it. Like a lot of the portions of the village, we have these depressional areas that don't have any natural overflow route out of them, so they kind of just bird bath, collect water, and that's a big component specifically up in the Madison-Addison area and that surrounding area. The Lufkin Pond area, well, we had one small area up here in Washington, the Washington corridor. We took a look at that because it was identified, but there's not a lot that can practically be done, I should say cost effectively be done, and we know that the county is working with the village as a green infrastructure, implementing green infrastructure through that corridor, so we kind of set that aside. Similarly, this one area up here in problem 1 is also in that corridor, so we set that aside. Problem area 2 focuses on the area around Lufkin Pond and the Willow Crest subdivision, and then problem area 4 is downstream of Lufkin on the north and south sides of Van Buren. So to give you an idea here, the yellow represents the existing inundation areas, and then the blue represents the inundation areas following the proposed improvements, the conceptual improvements here. The goal was to pull all the structures out of the 100-year floodplain like Chris had talked about, and in some cases try to minimize the inundation on the streets to 6 inches or a foot, depending on what was practical. So the reason you still see some blue up in here is that's primarily still street inundation, not structural inundation, and you'll see blue here because we introduced storage. Really, there's only kind of 2 ways to solve isolated flooding problems like this. You either increase the conveyance, you move the water out of there, or you store it, or it's some combination of both, and that's kind of what this entails. So the proposed solution is a 72-inch relief sewer that comes from the Madison-Addison area, down Michigan, and into Jackson Pond with an expansion of Jackson Pond. And then in addition to that, to kind of piggyback with some of the stuff that the county was looking at on the Sugar Creek corridor here, we put a diversion swale and add some additional storage down here because it's a little bit more cost effective to add the storage in there. Provide 20 additional acre feet in the Jackson Pond, 9 additional acre feet down here in the Willowbrook High School. We get about 79 homes out of the inundation area with a conceptual cost of $6.7 million. One thing here is we assume that we can work something out with the park districts. We've thrown in a little bit of, in our cost estimate, some dollars to help them with some of their localized flooding problems as well as kind of a cooperative win-win solution here. We did do another solution, and this is all kind of, we're showing you our preferred solution. We did look at providing the storage not on school district property, and it increases the cost by about $1.7 million, and that did include an estimate of land acquisition cost. So this is the problem area 2. It's relatively small compared to the other problem area. It's basically just another depressed area at the intersection of Washington and Euclid, kind of a backyard area that has a tributary area. It comes ponds. There is a rear yard drain, but that rear yard drain drains out of that into ultimately to a combined system, which we don't want to send any more water to, based on what we just heard. So we looked at what we could do, potentially lowering the overflow out of this back area and just have a gravity exit that area. It doesn't pull the structures out, but it does reduce the flooding by 3 or 4 inches. In the grand scheme of things, it's a pretty small cost, and we think that if there's going to be an improvement here, we can tie that into the green infrastructure system that the county's doing in the Washington Street corridor. This is the area down near Lufkin Pond. What happens is upstream we get a lot of water that comes down, and this is Jackson Avenue. It jumps over Jackson and comes down here and comes through a overflow route here and then comes down here and inundates some of these homes here. Again, we were looking at introducing a storm sewer system to collect that water a little more efficiently, keep it away from the homes. Expand Lufkin, add a little bit of storage, approximately 4 acre-feet. We can get 9 homes out at a cost of about $670,000. And then problem area 4 is this area downstream. It overlaps a little bit with this is Sugar Creek, the floodplain here. The south portion of Van Buren, there's not much we can do because that's being drained currently down here to Sugar Creek, and it's heavily influenced by the tailwater, the floodplain elevation of Sugar Creek. We did look at a conceptual approach to trying to upsize a relief sewer and drain this out. Realistically speaking, that's an expensive solution. It would require heavy coordination with the county because we really don't have any storage here. So if we just send more water downstream, we have to try to mitigate that so we're not just pushing the problem on somebody else further downstream. The overall cost of putting in some type of relief sewer as opposed to purchasing some land and putting in some storage this is somewhat more cost effective, but in the grand scheme of things, when you really dive into it, you might determine that it's better off to potentially look at a buyout scenario, especially if you can get some additional funding from the county. And I think that was it. We tried to be quick here, so
So
are
that's,
there any questions?
that's about $10 million combined. All
Correct. And one thing I should mention, when we looked at these, we looked at them independently. So, if we implement the solution to one, it technically has a trickle-down effect, maybe not problem area 2, but problem area 3 and 4 downstream. So there's any kind of number of combinations you could implement, some of 1, some of 3, some of 4, so you'll see some benefit. So if you decide, you want to move forward with one of these, we really should dive in and look at it a little bit more in depth to see if we have $7 million to implement one, that might make 2 or 3 and 4 a lot more cost effective because it's already taken quite a bit of water off that system.
All right.
Just one brief additional comment before we move on that. The county does have $550,000 earmarked for improvements in this drainage basin. So we will be getting some seed money. It's just a question of how do we want to utilize it and what projects do we ultimately end up building in this year. And a lot of that, as Derek mentioned, will depend on how things go with the school districts because a lot of the proposed improvements are on property that is not owned by the village.
So the $550,000, is that earmarked for Villa Park or countywide?
For Villa Park, for the Sugar Creek Basin.
Okay. All right. This is discussion only, so anybody? That's a lot to absorb, and we had a lot of homework. I mean, this is our binder for this part of the presentation. This was our paperwork for the first part of the presentation, so lots to think about. Trustee Wagner?
Thank you, Madam President. I just have a question about this concept of the 100-year event. Has that changed somewhat? I mean, I've heard that climatologists or planners say that they anticipate that the frequency of really catastrophic rain events will increase in frequency, and maybe the engineers here can comment on that. I'm just, is a 100-year event no longer a 100-year event, or maybe it's a 50-year event? that we can expect happening.
Or an every other year event, which seems to happen around
I hope
here.
it's not an every year, other year event, but it's a great question because I think that you're going to see that we are having different climate change driven events. I mean, 8, 2 and 10, 11 and 13. That's pretty close cluster, and certainly they're very intense. They seem to linger over our area and not move on. So the answer is yes. It's too early to tell, but I think the general analyses that have been performed to date indicate that we could be looking at. It's not going down. It generally is trending upwards. So the 100-year may be an additional inch or so during a 24-hour period compared to the current standard.
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
A relief sewer. What is typically the diameter of a relief sewer, and does it just conduct water away from that area to another area? How does a relief sewer work?
I think in both of the project reports, you're going to find that we sized, the two firms sized relief sewers to convey the water necessary to eliminate the overland flow routes, the ponding area, and so it's sized to handle what's ever upstream of it. It turns around and says, all right, I got to be at 48 inch. And then it conveys it down to another area where it cannot have collateral impacts. If you can't, you can't just send it downhill and just say, hey, see ya. So the difficulty is that's what people might have done 50 years ago. So what we have to do in both the reports show that there's storage areas to mitigate those downstream impacts because you can't just send it to a already overtaxed. The analogy would be you can't put a 4-lane entrance ramp to a 2-lane roadway. It doesn't. It's going to have a bottleneck, and certainly in hydraulics you have that.
Just to expound on that in a couple areas.
We need you to come up to the, yes. We get you on TV and get you on the mic.
Just to expound on that, there are a couple areas we'll have the main line relief sewer, but then we'll have these laterals that are smaller that are hitting the backyard areas or side streets or that type of thing. So it's really more of a relief sewer system generally because you want to pick up all those other areas. So.
Just an observation, all these different projects with acquisition of homes, above ground storage, could really, obviously we don't have the money to implement all this, but it could really change the complexion of our village. Just because I hear a lot from neighbors that live on Michigan, and I right away went to problem area 1 on your study just to see what the remedy was for the folks on Michigan who got really bad flooding. But of course, I know there's bad flooding elsewhere. And I guess the question I'm just voicing out loud is how do we decide what projects come first? I know everyone suffered, and of course some suffered more than others. So just a rhetorical question.
Right.
And just looking through this, helped me understand the amount of work that went into putting this together. So that's all I have.
Mind-boggling. Anybody else? Trustee Boltons.
Yeah, Trustee Wagner is correct. It's, which projects come first, but what combination of projects. Do we take a little bit of this one, a little bit of that one, and then see where that gives us to come up with a dollar amount that we're going to try to hit, and then try to figure out where that money's coming from. I think I saw one of the reports. They were very, very well written. I spent a good part of Saturday and Sunday reading them over, and it was, you get to the point you just have to stop. There's a lot. I'm sure you guys who write them just love it.
Kind of produces
and I wasn't even
migraines,
going into
but-
your methodology. I was just looking at reading what your recommendations were. I think I saw one had a 72-inch line. Just to think of that, that's just one. And you had number 46s or whatever, we're talking a big projects here.
Correct, and to also think about that, in a lot of cases with storm sewer that large, or we always put in their equivalent, a lot of times you'll have utility conflicts and you can't put in a pipe that big, so you might have to put in 2 smaller pipes in parallel or box culvert or something along that nature. But a lot of times, when we were routing that relief sewer, we wanted to route it down streets that we knew or be scheduled for some reconstruction work. So there's some overlapping costs there where it's part of the flood control, but it's probably going to actually part of the street reconstruction, effort at some point in the future anyway. So you try to make it up where you can, but most of those, because they are so large, will need to be in the street. You'll have a hard time fitting them in the parkway or.
So some parts of this, we have a little bit of an urgency, especially Michigan Avenue, because Michigan's due to be reconstructed shortly, and that's one of the main routes for that project area number 1 in your report. So there's a decision that's going to come relatively quickly. Maybe we don't do the whole project. Maybe we just go put in the line now and not use it until a later date, but we have the street open. I did notice a number of comments in the V3 reports that some of this also depends on FEMA and the EPA approvals. Am I reading that right? Because I think someone said on the bottom, may not get okayed by one or the other of those.
Generally speaking, I think with the exception of where we maybe are doing work in the floodplain, everything that we're doing is outside. So our IEPA approvals or FEMA approvals are kind of formalities. IEPA would be more your standard construction type of activity approval. So I don't think we envision any significant permitting hurdles associated with any of the projects. They're all pretty much beneficial. They'll be reviewed by the county if they have any impact on Sugar Creek, because they're currently studying that. So I don't think we'll have any significant.
But every time you go for approvals, that delays a project, stretches out the timeline. So we'd have to plan that much farther ahead before you even started some of these.
Correct. And again, in the problem area 1, I wouldn't anticipate us needing to go to IEPA with the exception of standard construction. We're disturbing more than an acre, and we're doing our due diligence with respect to sediment erosion control and the kind of stuff that they're concerned about.
Now, some of the things I've been reading lately is about the EPA in the Army Corps of Engineers are looking more at defining what are the waters of the USA. I think that's what they call it, and how much control they're going to have even over what we do with the water that's in ditches on Monterey, and then what do we do with the water that we put in ponds, and I think that's all up in the air right now. They're still trying to define how much they're going to the federal government's going to have their fingers in on what we do with all this water. So that's down the line too. So, but I thought the reports were very thorough, and it was an interesting read, but a long read. And I found it kind of interesting. We had 2 different reports, 2 different the way it was presented. I had to do a little switching in my head when I went from one to the other, but they were both very well done. So, and long. And I enjoyed the options that you had in the reports too. So, okay.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else? No? I just have one question. With all this water, the clear water that we were talking about, is there any way to, and I'm just going to put it out there, to somehow recycle the groundwater that we have? We're so dependent on the Lake Michigan water, Is there some way we can figure out a way to recycle it, to use it in some other ways? Not necessarily drinking water, but I don't know if that's even possible. Is that something we can consider? I mean, does that make sense? Does that happen?
Well, the green
So
infrastructure.
we're talking tons and tons and tons of water. So.
The green infrastructure certainly will reintroduce as much water back into the ground
That's
as
what made me
possible.
think about it. So.
But a lot of these ponds can have multiple purposes. They could have recreational purposes, and and let's face it, your ponds around golf courses were there for a purpose. They weren't there for water hazard necessarily. That's how they used to water the lawns without having to purchase expensive water. So certainly there is a function. I'd also like to make one more comment to one of Al's questions about the IEPA. We do look to the IEPA as a potential funding source, especially for the combined sewer projects, because IEPA loans is one of the possibilities we will be looking at going forward to fund some of these projects. Now, obviously, we'll need a mechanism to repay the loans, but certainly getting something at 2% is better than some of the options available to us right now.
And to piggyback on that, are there grants available to help cover some of these costs? You mentioned loans, but how about grants?
Well, we will be working with DuPage County to see what grant funding is available, but I think that's going to be more related to the floodplain areas and to maybe some of the bigger inundation areas. But yes, we definitely do plan on pursuing grant funding wherever we can.
And then going back to the recycling of the water, so that is something that we can consider in this?
I believe so. I don't know if anybody else
There's so
has
much
any-
water, and some of it, I mean, we're not talking about what happens when both are combined, you know, we don't want that, but I'm looking at Mr. Burke here. You know, I mean, we've got so much water.
The difficulty is water always comes when we don't want it, and we don't have any place to put it. And we want these ponds to always be dry. And if they're filled up with water for potential irrigation purposes, they're not available for flood control storage purposes. And so, there may be some opportunities in some of these areas to combine it, but then you have to pump it out and use it for irrigation and utilize it. But there's some areas where we have twin lakes. Those areas, that's potential for using some of that water for multiple purposes.
Yeah. I know it's easier said than done, you know, but you're getting so much water, and the clean water, if you will, the groundwater. Be nifty if we could figure out a way
Right.
to utilize that and take some pressure off, because our water rates keep going up, and I'm just wondering how we can somehow alleviate some of that by utilizing all this extra water that we seem to have.
The trick, of course, is to store
I
it,
don't know.
pump it, and then find a line to distribute it. And those are always been the challenges. And so, never mind whether or not the Department of Health is going to require that we treat it for potable water quality standards. So there's this rainwater harvesting concept
Right.
that is still being wrestled out down in Springfield as to what kind of requirements for cleaning the water will be necessary.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking about drinkable necessarily as some of these other needs that we have, even flushing the toilets or something, I don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there because there's so much of it. And, it'd be nifty if we could figure out a way to do that. So, anything else, you guys?
Well, we don't even want to talk about where the money's coming from.
Well,
That's the next
I
big
put it out
problem.
there if anybody wants to write a check,
They only write it
this is unreal. Yeah, we're looking at $48 million, somewhere in that ballpark. I rounded up on a couple things combined with these two. So very serious money here.
That's the heavy lifting, President.
It is a lot of
write
heavy
the check.
lifting. Got a little bit of a headache right there. Trying to wrap my hands around all this. All right, well, we have a lot more to think about, to talk about up here, but yeah, thank you for the efforts. We know this took a lot of effort and time and energy on the engineer's part. This is your lifeblood, but we appreciate you all bringing it forward and telling us what we're really dealing with, and not necessarily sugarcoating it. We need to know what we're dealing with so we can figure out a way to deal with it.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, so we really do appreciate everything.
Are these reports going to be put on our website?
The report's going to be put on the website?
That's a very good question. Right now, they're draft in nature, and I would think that as we move forward, they'll be subject to change. Staff can discuss switching them to, or take the draft off, as long as everyone's aware that it's a livable, breathing document.
Well, we actually have drafts of our budget downstairs. Could we possibly,
These are already done.
they are, okay, so if anybody, any residents or anybody who's interested would like to come and thumb through it, clear your calendar, because it's going to take some time to look through it. We'll have them downstairs outside of the village manager's office, so if you'd like to take a look-see, got a binder and another booklet, so for your reading pleasure. Okay, anything else before we move on? Okay, we're still on the Committee of the Whole agenda. Item number 7, consider an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending the security deposit requirements for utility customers and clarifying the billing procedures for water and sewerage services. Manager King.
Thank you. The Village Finance Department is making several improvements to utility billing processes. The department will soon be changing bills from postcards to printed bills and envelopes, which will allow low-cost inserts for village information and events and even paid advertising. The department is also eliminating late notice mailing and will not only be printing and mailing one bill per month, which will include the past due amount if applicable. In addition to these changes, security deposits on accounts will be eliminated with valid direct debit sign-up. The section on lien fees is being clarified as previous language was sometimes confusing. Discontinuation of service is being renamed termination of service. One section will clarify that bills are sent monthly instead of quarterly. Staff recommends that the village board approve this amendment. Thank you, Ron.
Okay. Any questions and comments? Thank you, Beavis. Any questions and comments from the public in regards to this item? No? Okay. How about the board? Anybody have any questions or comments from the board about this? Okay. We've had some feedback from the residents in regards to kind of changing up the way we mail the bills. The postcards get lost in the shuffle, and so that was one of several reasons to try to simplify and make it easier for you. It's also going to be an opportunity for us to share more news and information with the residents, little notes and things of that nature, things that we need to get out to the public. We just have another way to communicate with you as well. So I'll make it a little easier for you. So. Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Aiello.
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus.
Yes.
Trustee Taglia.
Yes.
Trustee Case. Oh, I'm sorry. He's not here tonight. Sorry. Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
And President Bullwinkle.
Yes. Okay. Item number 8. Consider an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing the sale by public auction of personal property and seized vehicles owned by the Village of Villa Park. We have a number of vehicles listed here, don't we, Manager Keener?
Yes, we do.
You want to read them off really quick?
Absolutely.
Public?
Love to do that.
Another auction coming up.
We have a 1999 or 1995 Ford F-150. We have a 1996 Nissan Maxima. We have a 1998 Cadillac Eldorado. We have a 1999 Honda Accord. We have a 1999 Jeep Wrangler. We have a 2001 Yamaha scooter. We have
That's one you wanted.
no, actually, the Jeep is pretty cool. The 2004 Chrysler PT Cruiser. And then we have 3 squad cars that we're going to auction off. So we have a 2006 Ford Crown Victoria, 2007 Ford Crown Victoria, and a 2009 Ford Crown Victoria. And that is all of them, Your
Okay.
Honor.
Anybody from the public have any questions about this item? Okay, how about the board? You're self-explanatory. You guys want to arm wrestle for which one?
Which one is the fastest?
Okay. Roll call vote. Thank you.
Trustee Bolfus.
Yes.
Trustee Taglia.
Yes.
Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
Trustee Aiello.
Yes.
President Bullwinkle.
Yes. Okay. Item number 9. Consider an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending the regulations of fences for excavations. Manager Keener?
Thank you, Your Honor. Staff is proposing an amendment to the building code to improve safety around construction and excavation sites by requiring the erection of temporary fencing. With the potential of having as many as 4 new single-family homes under construction shortly, this fencing would serve 2 purposes. The fence would provide protection for contractors' equipment during non-construction periods and also create a barrier between construction sites and curious passerby. Thank you, Ron.
Yes. Any questions and comments from the public in regards to this item? Okay. How about the board? Anybody on the board?
Yes.
Any questions? Okay. Trustee Bolfus.
I have a couple of questions. I didn't see what any other neighboring communities have, what their requirements. I know Elmhurst, you have to have fences around. Other one I had is what type of material for the fencing? Are we looking at like a chain link fence? Are we looking at that orange plastic fencing? And 6 foot, I saw in the recommendation height. I was wondering, my question is that maybe a little high? Does it have to be 6 foot? Is 4 foot adequate? If we have, somebody has a above ground pool in town, they don't have to have a fence if the pool is how high? Is this higher than that requirement even? So, and possibly also maybe we ought to have it that they put a sign on the fence, no trespassing or something like that. So those are my questions, and I don't have an answer for them. The type of material, and I question the height of the fence. So.
looking at Patrick Grill, our Director of Community Development. See if he'd like to address any of those or all of those questions.
The 6 foot is a fairly standard height for temporary fencing around construction sites. It's easily transported and put up and taken down at the end of the construction cycle. I'm not aware of snow fencing being a sufficient boundary around a construction site. Typically, it's chain link, and that's what staff would expect. And like I say, it's a fairly typical requirement for most communities to require this.
So you looked at some neighboring communities to see what they require? I don't know.
I
I
can.
haven't seen any 6-foot fences around Elmhurst houses. You have? It just seems kind of high to me, you know.
It's fairly typical.
That's my height.
4-foot fences is fairly easy for somebody to get over, particularly when you're talking about an attractive nuisance like a big hole in the ground when kids walk by, or for somebody else who might be interested in some of the equipment that's.
It doesn't matter how high the
Yeah,
fence
you
is.
can cut the fence.
You know, they're going to get in. So
Well, it's just a matter of how difficult it is to get in. 4 foot, there's people that can jump over a 4-foot fence.
well, it's not me.
So 6 foot, staff felt that it was sufficient enough to provide the necessary security and safety that we're looking to have. I mean, right now, we can require or we can insist that they put up a 4-foot fence, but at that particular point, they have 7 days to put it up, and in the amount of time it takes them to get up, something terrible could happen that we wouldn't like to see. So we want this ability to be able to require it right up front before construction even starts.
Well, I'm also concerned about the cost of installation of that fence. You know, I know if they can rent them, or they can buy them once and then they have them. But I just was wondering if this would discourage anybody from building more houses in Villa Park because of the requirement of a 6-foot high chain link fence.
Again, you always have to balance the issue between safety, security, and then cost for the contractor. But in instances, where you have excavation sites, I think it's incumbent upon the village to try to do everything they can to make it as safe as possible without being overburdening the developer in trying to protect those sites.
Do we get any feedback from any developers? Have we asked anybody? I was sorry Don's not here to address this.
Well,
We have
actually have.
our friend Alderman Woods is here from Wooddale. He's actually a builder.
Yes.
I put him on the spot.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Hey,
If
Art.
you'd like-
How are you?
If you'd like to.
What do you think about this, Art?
As a developer
Doesn't work?
perspective.
As a developer, I build in Elmhurst and I also build in Lombard. Both of them require it. Lake Forest requires it. Most of the communities, and from a builder standpoint, it's a protection for my site. It helps with my insurance company. They prefer it to be fenced in to minimize liability issues. And when you're doing it so often, we used to buy the service. There's many companies that supply that. They'll come and put it out for you. We own our own fences and poles, and it costs us about $1,200 a house.
So it doesn't discourage you.
No, not at all.
And they're 6 foot?
I mean, it stops, minor pilfering from houses.
Sure.
As
Little
of late, we had
damages
two
and
houses
stuff.
sit in Lombard where they cut out copper pipes and stuff. So
That's what I was thinking.
it helps.
They're
It's a
going after the
benefit to
copper.
both sides.
And the 6 foot's okay?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
okay.
It's pretty standard fence size.
That helps a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. That does it. Shot me down.
Okay. All right. Anybody else up here? Questions? No? All right. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
No.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
President Bowinkle?
Yes. Okay. Item number 10. Consider a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing the joint purchase of bulk rock salt through DuPage County Procurement Services Division and Morton Salt Company. Manager Keenan?
Thank you, Ron. The village has purchased rock salt through an agreement with DuPage County Procurement Service Division last year. DuPage County supplier Morton Salt is willing to renew last year's price of $70.44 per ton, which was very favorable. The village must submit its rock salt needs through a contract with Morton Salt by April 24th, 2015. Village staff recommends entering into a contract with Morton Salt for 500 tons of bulk rock salt. $100,000 is proposed for fiscal year 2015-16 in Street Division account 10-525-27-341 for this purpose. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the public in regards to this item? Need you to come up to the mic. State your name for the record. Yeah, and you need to sign in too. I was getting to that. Yep, we need your autograph.
Name is John Barsotti. I reside in Villa Park. And your pot of ink, there's only one. Well, you can read. I'm sure you can make this out.
Yes.
Most of you know me anyhow. Is there any consideration been made to mixing the salt with sand to minimize the environmental impact of salt on the environment?
Well, we actually are doing a little bit of environmental, I guess, experimentation, if you will. And I don't know if Vitas Giskalis would like to come up and explain. It's beet heat is what we used last year, and it's
beet? Yeah.
Beet heat, yeah. We still are using salt, but we're mixing it up with this beet heat liquid, if you will, that is less corrosive to both vehicles, the streets, the curbs, all that good stuff. But that's something that I'm glad you asked, because it is something that we're looking at. So it's not necessarily sand, but
I'm happy to hear that you're...
I think the sand plugs up the sewer somewhat too.
Well, yeah,
Well,
It's very abrasive.
much better than beet stuff.
yeah.
Sand was a little more environmental
Yeah,
friendly.
and we started with beet juice and kind of went to beet heat because we're finding it's a little bit better and still accomplishes that goal. So, really quick.
Maybe just to
Yeah.
further extrapolate a
Yeah.
little bit on the beet heat concentrate, which the village used last season, we could save up to about at least 25% of salt usage.
Yeah.
So versus using an aggregate such as sand, cinders, where some rural communities use that as an alternative, as Trustee Bolfa said, that will get into our sewer systems and then lessen the capacity, so which would require then additional labor for cleaning that up where actually the salt dissolves.
If you want to introduce yourself to we didn't have you technically. Yes,
I
say your
apologize.
name for the record, even if you know.
I'm Rich Salerno, Deputy Director of Public Works for the village.
Thank you. You don't have to autograph. We know where to find it. Okay. Is there anybody else from the public wish to? Okay. No. All right. Anybody else from the board? No. All right. Glad to hear that we're getting a pretty favorable rate. I guess my only question is, how much salt do we have left over from last year? And because we've never run out of salt. In fact, we have other municipalities call us and ask us for salt. But sorry about that. Probably should just have you stay.
That's good. I could use some exercise. We'll have approximately 1,000 tons of salt before the beginning of next season.
Okay.
So it'll be in excess of a full year's supply.
Okay. Very good. 'Cause I know we like to have extra, so all right. Very good. Okay. Anybody else? All right. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Wagner,
Yes.
Trustee Aiello.
Yes.
Trustee Wolfe.
Yes.
Trustee Taglia.
Yes.
President Bowico.
Yes. Okay, item number 11, consider a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a local agency agreement with the Illinois Department of Transportation, IDOT, the Phase 1 engineering of the St. Charles Road Bridge Rehabilitation Project. Engineer?
Thank you, Your Honor. St. Charles Road Bridge over Salt Creek will require major rehabilitation within the next 5 years. The village has requested Surface Transportation Program, Bridge Program, funding to provide 80% federal funding for engineering and construction of the project. Under the terms of the proposed local agency agreement with IDOT, STP-BR will provide $223,024 of the $278,780 needed for Phase 1 engineering. Therefore, the village's share of the cost would be $55,756, and is budgeted in the fiscal year 2015-2016 Street Improvement Fund. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Any questions and comments from the public in regards to this item? No? How about the board? Anybody on the board?
I have one.
Okay, do both of us.
How sure are we going to get this, that we're going to get this 80% from the state? That's just a comment, maybe. That's just a comment.
Unless you have any updates for us. Venus Giscalzo, Director.
We're
of
sure
Public
about the 80% of Phase 1 engineering.
Okay.
Beyond that, it's only a verbal promise.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks. We'll see.
Thanks a lot.
We'll raid that fund, too.
Okay, anybody? Okay, Trustee Wagner.
Thank you, Madam President. What is the current structural condition of I thought I saw some signs saying that we had to certain tonnage of vehicles couldn't cross the bridge. Are we approaching the condition that we had with the Ardmore Bridge?
Where we can see the rebar?
Well, as you recall, Ardmore Bridge was posted with a 5-ton weight limit. This one, I believe, is 10 tons, so it's twice as good.
Okay.
But we can't see rebar. We can't see
Pretty
the,
technical.
Yeah.
And this question may have been asked before, but since the bridge is kind of not exclusively in Villa Park, is that correct? Why isn't Elmhurst sharing part of the cost?
Because we found that, or actually Elmhurst found an agreement from 20 years ago that says it's ours.
Okay.
And we could not find an agreement that says it's theirs.
So what they have in binding.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that's all I have.
Fabulous. Okay. Well, this project's been cooking for a while, so.
It's good to move forward.
Yeah, it's coming up. Okay, anybody else? No? Okay. Oh, Trustee Ayala.
Venus, how long does that agreement go for? How long does that agreement with Elmhurst go? It can't go forever because it's an intergovernmental agreement, right?
Well, it was the funding agreement with IDOT to build the original bridge, and it said we would take over all maintenance responsibility of the bridge upon its completion. So it's in perpetuity.
Gotcha. It's not an agreement with Elmhurst, it's an agreement.
No, it was part of a larger agreement.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's kind of different. No, agreements don't go for,
Okay.
only contracts.
Anybody else? Yeah. Okay, roll call vote.
Trustee Wagner,
Yes.
Trustee Ayala,
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus,
Yes.
Trustee Taglia,
Yes.
President Bullwinkle.
Yes. Okay. Item number 12 on the Committee of the Whole. Consider a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing a mosquito abatement agreement for 2015, 2016, and 2017 with Clark Environmental Mosquito Management Incorporated. Andrew?
Thank you, Your Honor. And Your Honor and Board and folks in the audience at home, Trustee Wagner and I spoke about this particular item earlier today, and staff made some phone calls, and we do have an update that we'll bring up at the very end. The Village of Villa Park contracts for mosquito abatement services. Mosquitoes are not only a nuisance, but can be a potential threat to public health by transmitting diseases such as encephalitis and West Nile virus. Clark Environmental Mosquito Management, Inc. of St. Charles, Illinois, is the sole provider of such services currently operating in this region. Village staff recommends extending the current contract with Clark Environmental Mosquito Management to provide mosquito abatement services for Villa Park in 2015, 16, and 17 at a cost of $32,740 per year, and the increase for 2015 or 2016 and 2017 shall not exceed the property tax extension limitation law, also known as PTEL, so for its annual increase. Adequate funds will be proposed for this contract in the Forestry Division, account 10-525-28-286 for this purpose. Thank you, Your Honor, and I believe we would like to add the additional information that we uncovered today.
Yes.
Venus, would you like to maybe introduce our guest, or Rich?
Thank you for addressing that, by the way, in advance of the meeting tonight. So, and
My
thank
pleasure,
you,
Your Honor.
and thank you to Trustee Wagner for bringing it up. Yes.
We're fortunate this evening to have Jack Fenish from Clark Environmental to further discuss their services and the potential for the further year contract for their price increases.
Okay. Come on. Sitting there waiting patiently. So thank
Good
you
evening.
very much. You could again
Thank you.
just state your name for the record. You
Jack
know,
Fenish with Clark Inc. I'm here to answer any questions tonight on the program. I'd like to just start off by saying there's been a bit of a renaissance in mosquito control in the last number of years. We do an integrated pest management program, which is really an environmentally friendly program. Anything that's used against mosquitoes today in the larval stage, which this program focuses on what we call larval mosquito, the larval control. I'll back up a little bit and it's been a number of years since I've been before the board, and I'd like to just give a brief overview. Mosquitoes develop anywhere there's standing, stagnant water in the Midwest, and we've seen tonight's presentation with quite a few retention, detention areas where standing, stagnant water would accumulate. The perfect environment for a mosquito and for any insect is what's known as 80-80, defined by 80-80, 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 80% relative humidity. In a constant 80-80 environment, a mosquito will go through their 4-stage life cycle from egg to larva to pupa to adult in 4 days of 24 hours of 80-80. In the Midwest here, we're roughly a 10 to 14-day life cycle, or with our highs and our overnight lows dropping down a little bit. So if I get anything across tonight, I'd just like to, for the citizens as well, this is a biological process. We get the sun and the rain and the grass grows. Well, the mosquitoes develop just the same way. They're microscopic in the egg stage, and they from that larval stage, they move into a pupal stage, which is a resting stage, and they do a metamorphosis much like a caterpillar to a butterfly, and they fly away as a flying adult mosquito, which 99.9% of the population think of as a flying mosquito. But they have to go through that egg, larval, pupal stage to reach that adult stage. We focus on, and mosquito control in general focuses on the larval and the adult stage, and that adult stage is the truck, spraying, and that's when we have, encephalitis alerts, or after we get one of those 8 to 9 inch floods. 2 weeks later, we get a nice present of the entire county breeding mosquitoes, and we get a lot of flying mosquitoes. So that would be another reason to do these adult truck treatments. Everything that's used in that larval stage is really a biological control. It's a gut toxin is what it's called, but there's a new product called spinosad that's just recently been developed in the last 3 years, and it won the Presidential Green Chemistry Award, and it's a product that we manufacture and we're using here it's the tablet is called Natural, and it's what we're using here in Villa Park. The mosquitoes in that larval stage filter feed, and it reacts with the pH balance in their stomach, and it dissolves out their stomach lining. So it has an MSDS sheet, but it's not flammable, reactive, or combustible, or anything like that. It's not a skull and crossbones pesticide. It's very targeted just for mosquitoes and black flies. I could talk. If there's any other questions, I'd feel free to field them now. And I would, before I do, I would like to. The adult mosquito then hatches as adult flying mosquito. They live about 1 month. They feed on their source of food is plant nectar. So if we do a little study this summer, shake the shrubbery when you're out at a picnic, and the mosquitoes fly away, and that's where they harbor during the day. At the nighttime, the female mosquito is nocturnal. They feed at night, and they're looking for what's a blood meal. That's, again, not their food, but that red blood fertilizes her eggs. And they don't care if it's a cat, squirrel, any higher form of mammalian life. The significance of the birds nest at night, and the mosquito then they're not flying around and not defending themselves, so the mosquito can feed very easily on the birds. The migratory birds bring this viremia back into the environment every summer, whether it be encephalitis, St. Louis encephalitis, lacrosse, West Nile virus, dog heartworm, all these other vector-borne diseases come back in by the migratory birds. So the migratory birds are the reservoir, and the mosquito is just the intermediary, the vector. And then it's like so many other things in life, you're in the wrong place at the wrong time and get bit by that infected mosquito. And then 2 to 3 weeks later, we'll see the symptoms present in a human. So when we do some testing with the local health department, and we see that there's infected mosquitoes in the area, we know there's a high probability of transmission to humans. So I want to kind of clear that up. A lot of people, how does this, if it freezes every year, how come it comes back every summer? So
it's a good point to make. So with that, since Trustee Wagner had a couple questions that brings you here with us, I'm going to have him kind of explain where he was coming from and what was on his mind.
Thank you, Madam President.
Sure.
What prompted me to call the manager, I also called their board member, was the letter that we received from the DuPage County Public Health Department, their mosquito task force, stating that they had this task force county officials, township officials, public health officials, and the intent of the task force is kind of to look at the consolidation of the service. A joint, and the letter that I think we all received was stated that they're looking for input and that they were looking to prepare an RFP which would go out for the 2016 season. So my question, or the question I'd like to pose is, and I know Clark is very professional, they're really the only company that does this, but maybe it might be in our best interest for us to, rather than extend the contract into 2016 and 2017, to do the extension, this year's extension, and then wait to see or participate with the county to see if combining, I mean, we're all about joint bidding and consolidation of services when it's appropriate. Maybe it might be appropriate for us to wait to see what the outcome of the task force is before we extend into 2 additional years. That was my question. And I do have some other questions for Clark when that's appropriate.
I received a call from Rich, today, and we sit on that task force as well. There's representatives from Clark that are on the task force. It's been something that they've been looking at for a number of years. What our intention is moving, and we did a 1-page addendum that any type of agreement that we were to enter into with DuPage County in the 2016 and 2017 years, we would honor that pricing with the Village of Villa Park. So if there were any type of joint, agency agreement, we would absolutely honor that pricing level, with the village. So we're a seasonal business, so it helps us to know that we have, a long-term agreement. So, a multi-year agreement. We hire seasonal labor, vehicles, manufacture the products and what have you. So
that's good to know then, basically matching if something comes up where we are able to save some money. Are essentially willing to match that. So,
the way I understood it, there would be like an a la carte anyway. Each community, these would be the services offered, and each community would do their own, purchasing anyway. It would be more like a state bid, and then each community would, buy off that sheet, if you will, that level.
Well, just if I could ask a question of
please,
sure,
Representative, doesn't it make more sense? I mean, since the village is, mosquitoes don't respect village boundaries. If there's a wind, they can get blown, I think, up to a mile away from where they harbor. And doesn't it make more sense to do it more of to do a more comprehensive approach as opposed to just a village approach? Doesn't an approach in the entire county make more sense?
For that adult control, on a large scale, it kind of leaves them no place to run or hide, if you will. But the village is strictly doing a larval control program. They're strictly, doing the manhole, the species that the species that transmits the virus is in these manhole covers or Culex species that are contained. So we're not, when you do those spraying events, that can be true that can help. A lot of what we're seeing, though, recommended from the CDC is that there's almost pockets of these outbreaks, pockets of these human cases that'll be encircled in a 3 and 4 mile area. So for nuisance control, absolutely. When we have that 6 to 8 inch rain and the entire county, we all know from the 2013, walking from your car door to the house, there's clouds of mosquitoes. That on a blanket area absolutely helps, and much of the hurricane and is done aerially in the southern state. In other states it's done by fixed wing aircraft. So
yes, Trustee Wagner.
I just have one more question. I read that there is some new mosquito-borne disease that's kind of started in the southeast. Do you know it? Do you know about that?
It's chikungunya, chickpea, and it's they actually sing it in the Florida area, and it's through the Caribbean, migrating up a little bit north. The species is not really relevant to overwinter here in North America. but that doesn't mean it cannot be brought here each summer by migratory, by semi-load, or by there's a phenomenon known airport malaria, where malaria gets brought into an area around an airport by the wheel wells of the airplanes. That's how they think West Nile came here. There's a documented outbreak in Israel. And JFK, there's 10 flights in the morning, 10 flights in the afternoon, and then it came to the airport. There's quite a bit of swampland around that airport, and they've discovered it there first. So it in the summer months, where the high temperature and high humidity, it could migrate here, and that's really a game changer. Now a lot of them, what we're seeing is the humans are dead end hosts. It cannot be transmitted from. The mosquito can transmit it to a human, and then the human is what we call a dead end host. That could now then, the mosquito could bite a human and transmit it to a human. It's a whole different category, level of infectiousness, if you will, and the health department is very concerned about that. There actually was some cases in the mosquitoes carrying that were found in Nashville, as far north as Nashville this last summer. So that was pretty close.
It gets hot and humid there, too. So I can imagine what it.
That's all I have, Madam President.
Okay. Trustee Taglia.
As far as the application of this insecticide, is that the right thing to call it?
Yeah.
Is that done just after it rains, or is it like a one-time thing, or how often are these?
The manhole covers are treated on a 30-day every 30 days in the manhole covers and the open street catch basins. The standing water sites, your roadside ditches, are roughly every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Are inspected.
So there's quite a bit of this.
Quite
going
correct.
on. Okay, gotcha.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Trustee Aiello.
Yeah, three things. Does our contract price with you on the contract that's being extended depend on our extending it beyond 2015?
We did it we looked at it as a 3-year agreement
I understand.
because
So you
we
looked
had
at it
a
as a 3-year
3-year
agreement. So if we only did a 1-year agreement, that would have to be reanalyzed.
We're at or more. We're at more than likely. We're at this point now. We need to start doing something here in the next 30 to 45 days. So,
do we know what? Do you have an idea of what our price would be if we did a 1-year deal instead of a 2-year, 3-year deal? As you stand there.
I mean, within,
not as you stand there right
within,
now.
2 to 3%.
Okay. And then, if we do the extended term, but then Clark, for some reason in the future, there's another company from somewhere else in the world that takes this business from the county. The fact that you gave us an addendum that says you'll abide by the county's agreement doesn't really affect us because somebody else gets to work. Would that be accurate to say? So you wouldn't be bound by, we'd still be stuck with our deal with you if some third party.
It's really a service agreement. You can opt out. I mean, this isn't it's not like buying performance in species on a real estate contract. It's more it's a service agreement where we're providing a service. Either party could say stop it. It's more like there's plowing snow or mowing lawn. It's not a.
Didn't understand that. So
yeah.
So this agreement is terminable by us at any time, and 30-day notice without any detriment to ourselves.
It's a service agreement. It's really it's not a real binding contract.
Does our village attorney agree with that?
It's professional.
I haven't reviewed it.
Okay.
Manager would like to pop in on this.
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe when Clark was asked about the county's contract that we're pretty much guaranteed the lowest price. So if the county's price happens to be below the 3-year contract, we would be getting the 3-year or the price below our contract. And obviously, if it was above our contract, we're not going to take advantage of that, right?
Correct.
Okay, my misunderstanding. So what you're saying is you would meet that price regardless of whether the county gave you the job or give it to
Correct.
Bugs International.
That's how I understood it.
Great, perfect. Thank you very much. Sorry,
That's okay. That's how I understood it too. Thanks for the clarification. Okay, Trustee Wagner.
Just one real quick
Sure,
question.
sure.
Do you still employ light traps to do counts within the village?
We do.
Okay.
We do, I believe.
How many light traps are there? 3?
I believe there's one.
One.
Currently.
Okay.
The New Jersey light traps technology that's really the floodplain for those can be tested for the virus too, but we didn't. county, when you go buy a set of tires for your car now, there's a disposal fee. That money is going back to the state and through grant money to do some of this virus testing. So we're taking advantage. The village is taking advantage of that kind of pool of resource that the county is using to do the viremia, to do the virus testing. So we didn't need to do the DNA test on the mosquitoes, but that's currently being done through grant money.
That's all I have, Madam President. Thank you.
And that's transmitted with village staff when there's a positive close by or in the community.
Okay. Anybody else? No. I just have to say, I'm glad that there's more of an environmental component, that it's safer, with the sprays, I often wonder, I don't even know how long ago it's been since we've done the sprays, but
I've been here since 91. We haven't done it. Maybe one
about?
time at the outbreak of West Nile.
Yeah, so I can appreciate that it's safer on an environmental basis and for breathing and whatnot. And I'm also, thankful that I appreciate your enthusiasm about talking about mosquitoes. I mean, that's your business.
Thank you. It's hard to.
I can appreciate that. I can also appreciate the fact that our mosquitoes are much smaller than Florida. When I go visit my father in Florida, honest to God, they're like the state bird. They're huge. They're the biggest mosquitoes I've ever seen. So I'm glad there's somebody out there that is fighting because they're doozies out there. So anything else? Do we want to bring anything else up about mosquitoes?
Nope, let's kill them.
Okay, we're gonna get to killing them, but first we're gonna go ahead and do the roll call vote on this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yes. Roll call vote.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Bullfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
President Bullwinkle?
Yes. Okay. Item number 13, consider resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing acceptance of a proposal from Chicagoland Paving Contractors Incorporated of Lake Zurich, Illinois, for pavement improvements at 2 village parking lots and waiving the requirement of competitive bidding. Manager Keenan.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village has 2 public parking lots in need of pavement improvements. The first is the Jefferson Pool parking lot, and the second is the Kenilworth TIF parking lot, located at the northeast corner of Cortese Avenue and Kenilworth Avenue. The village currently has a contract with Chicagoland Paving Contractors for pavement improvements at 2 different parking lots. Staff has received a proposal from Chicagoland for the Jefferson Pool and Kenilworth TIF parking lots. Staff is requesting that the board waive the requirements of competitive bidding and award a contract to Chicagoland Paving in the amount of $142,512, of which $92,040.90 is for the Jefferson Pool parking lot and $50,471.10 is for the Kenilworth TIF parking lot. Because the contractor is already under contract for another project, staff is requesting formal action this evening during the formal board meeting. And Your Honor, this particular topic has arisen this way for the waiver of the competitive bidding because I challenged staff to get these 2 parking lots, the Jefferson and the Kenilworth parking lot, done before summer so we can actually show the citizens that we're moving forward in a positive manner. So I challenged staff to get these 2 parking lots done, and this is the way that we can achieve that, is we already have a contract with Chicagoland, and we'd like to waive the bidding, give these 2 parking lots to Chicagoland, and move forward. Thank you, Your Honor.
But they also give us competitive pricing because we're
Yes.
already working with them. Is that
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Any questions and comments from the public in regards to this item? Anybody? Okay. How about the board? Anybody from the board? Trustee Aiello, you look like you're in deep thought. I can see it.
There's too many jokes with that.
I can see it coming.
I'm holding
All right,
back.
while you're thinking, I
take
think
too long.
Trustee Wagner
Real
has a
quick.
question right now.
So these
Yes.
these parking lot projects, this is more than just an overlay. This is, are we going down to the sub-base on this parking lot?
I don't believe so, Trustee
No.
Wagner, but I know, for example, the Jefferson Pool parking lot is in dire need of some pavement.
Yes.
I'm Jeremy Luckowitz. I'm the assistant village engineer.
Our newest member of our team, too.
Correct. The Jefferson Pool parking lot is just a strict overlay. There is grinding around the edges where there's the curb and gutter because we don't want to put ponding into the curb and gutter. There's no structures to drain the water, so there is some minor grinding around the edges there to allow the water to outfall. However, the Kenilworth TIF parking lot does require, it's beyond the state of just a simple overlay. That one did require an additional, complete milling off of the surface and reinstallation of winter material over that.
Okay, that's all I had.
Good? Okay.
Nicely.
Yes, thank you for that. Okay, Trustee Aiello?
No, I'm good.
No, are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah? All right, I'm going to move over here. Anybody else?
Let's vote.
You want to vote? Okay, we're going to go under roll call vote.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Tagliao?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Yes. Okay, we're going to reconvene to the formal agenda. Agenda here. All right. Got all my paperwork mixed up here, so here we go. All right. Item number 1, we'll have a paper juggling up here tonight, is Village President's Report under the formal. I've got 2 proclamations. So I'll read them really quick. The first one is proclamation recognizing Mark Johnson, a name that's very familiar to our residents here. We lost him last year to cancer, and his proclamation in his honor. Whereas Mark Johnson served on the DuPage High School District 88 Board of Education since 1999, and whereas Mark Johnson served as president of the DuPage High School District 88 Board of Education from 2003 to 2011, and whereas Mark Johnson represented District 88 in the Legislative Education Network of DuPage County, LEND, and whereas Mark Johnson represented District 88 as a member of the SASED Board of Control, whereas Mark Johnson supported the District 88 Building the Future project to enhance the learning environment for students, and whereas Mark Johnson supported District 88 in building futures for students and fulfilling the district's mission of working for the continuous improvement of student achievement, and whereas Mark Johnson made decisions to ensure high-quality educational experience for the students of District 88, and whereas Mark Johnson and his wife Phyllis shared a passion for the arts, were proponents of the Fine Arts program in District 88, and whereas Mark Johnson also served as Deputy Chief of Police for the Villa Park Police Department and was on the District 45 Foundation, the Kiwanis Club of Villa Park, and the Tri-Town YMCA, and was a council member of St. Paul Lutheran Church in Villa Park and a PADS volunteer. Whereas Mark Johnson graduated from Willowbrook High School in 1966 and received the school's Distinguished Alumni Award in 2012. Did a lot. Therefore, be it resolved that the Village of Villa Park, President Deb Bullwinkle, and the Board of Trustees conveys its heartfelt thank you to Mark Johnson for 15 years of dedicated service to the DuPage High School District 88 Board of Education. Mark Johnson passed away on December 13, 2014, and the Village of Villa Park President and Board of Trustees would like to commemorate his leadership, friendship, spirit, teamwork, and commitment to the District 88 school community. Through being a District 88 graduate and board member, a DARE officer, and a Villa Park Police Department employee, Mark Johnson was involved in the communities of District 88 for more than 50 years. The Village of Villa Park President and Board of Trustees honors his positive impact on the community. Passed on this day, April 13th, 2015. I had the pleasure of knowing Mark, and so did so many people in this town, and he really, this probably just scratches the surface on everything that he did for our town. So he is sorely missed. Glad we could do that.
Nice.
The second one is an Arbor Day proclamation proclaiming April 24th, 2015 as Arbor Day in Villa Park. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed that a special day be set aside for planting trees to be known as Arbor Day. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed around the world and is celebrated on the last Friday in April in the state of Illinois. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees in our village increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas for the 30th year in a row, Villa Park has been designated a Tree City USA. That's 30 years. Whereas Villa Park will celebrate Arbor Day with a tree planting ceremony on April 24th, 2015, which is a Friday this year, Friday the 24th. Now, therefore, I, Deborah Bullwinkle, Village President of the Village of Villa Park, proclaim April 24th, 2015 as Arbor Day in Villa Park. Further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of present and future generations. Dated on this day, the 13th of April, 2015. And when I arrived tonight, there was this very nice commemorative crystal, if you will, that says Tree City USA. Let's see here, Arbor Day Foundation, and it says 30 years. So it's a very nice accolade, I guess you could say. And as many of us know, that we've lost a lot of our trees to the emerald ash borer, another bug that has really been a thorn in our side, but we are working very hard to get as many of our parkway trees cut down and replanted with new trees. So we absolutely appreciate the trees that we still have and look forward to planting many more. So thank you for that. Villa Park. Okay, just have a couple other things under my report. I would like to express my congratulations to the winners of our local election, our three incumbents, Trustee Aiello, Trustee Case, who's not with us tonight, and Trustee Bolfus, won their re-election bids. I wanted to express congratulations to them. And we also have our trustee-elect in the audience here, Nick Cazzone. So also would like to express congratulations to you. Nick will be taking over the unexpired 2-year term where Trustee Davis used to sit. So we are very much looking forward to having you join our team. And the swearing-in ceremony is the first Monday, or the first meeting in May, which would be Monday, May 11th. So we'll take care of it, and you'll become official. And but I just wanted to express my congratulations to each of you, and looking forward to starting a new term, if you will, with our new team. So some familiar faces and some new ones too. So I just want to say congratulations. Looking forward to working with you very much. Okay. Also, still some questions about the brush pickup. The yard waste and brush pickup began officially on April 6th, and it will go through Friday, December 4th. It's not free right now. The free period will probably start sometime in October. We'll let you know when that happens. But right now, if you have any brush, you need to put the stickers on your bag. You need to tie them up. All the directions on how to do that, if you don't know already, are on our website, www.invillapark.com, or you can call the village for more information. But just wanted to remind everybody of that. I also wanted to just mention that I had the privilege of participating in a Battle of the Mayors event at Crazy Pour yesterday afternoon. It was a fundraiser for the Tri-Town YMCA, and we had a really good time there. Trustee-elect Cazzone was there, and we had some other folks. Our fire chief, Ron Rakozik, and his wife were there, and many other people were there kind of cheering it on. The whole idea was to raise funds for the Tri-Town, and I'm happy to report that I was basically challenged by my counterpart in Lombard, Keith Gennaro. So he challenged me basically to a duel to see who could raise the most funds through tips. And I smoked them. I'm just happy to be able to report that. Our numbers were, hey, we had to win for Villa Park. I said I wanted to win. And, people really showed up in droves and were very, very, very generous. And still waiting for the final numbers, because we're going to actually look at where all of our numbers landed, including we did some split the pot raffle, we did some other raffles and other things of that nature. But the tips were flowing quite nicely, and it was a good time all the way around. So I want to thank Crazy Pour for hosting the event. I want to thank Keith Gennaro, President Gennaro in Lombard, for challenging me. They would like to do it again. I'm hoping maybe this time I can challenge you. We'll see. And just thank everybody for coming out. It was a really, really, really good time. A fun way to spend a Sunday afternoon. So it was terrific all the way around. And of course, thanks to Tri-Town. You made it a lot of fun. Great staff. So appreciate that a lot. And then also just wanted to mention that this happens to be National Volunteer Week, April 12th through the 18th, 2015. We have so many volunteers in our town. Many commissions that folks are participatory in, and we get small stipends up here, but basically we're volunteers as well up here for our community. And there's just so many opportunities to volunteer. So if you're interested in serving on a commission or would like to get involved as a volunteer in so many other ways, we have Boy Scout troops, Girl Scout troops, the list goes on. Rotary, Kiwanis, we have so many different volunteer organizations. So I just wanted to convey my thanks to everybody that volunteers to help our village continue to run, and we couldn't do it without you. So just wanted to put that out there. So, okay, that concludes my report. So I want to move on to item number 2 on the formal, public comments on agenda items. So this is regarding items 4 through 7 on our formal agenda. So if you have any questions about items 4 through 7, now's your chance. If you have a non-agenda item, that'll come up on item number 8.
No, it's an agenda item, Madam President.
Okay, so if you want to state your name for the record.
John Barsati,
You don't have to
again,
sign again. Yeah.
resident of Villa Park.
Okay, 3 minutes. What's on your mind?
In the event that there is an outbreak of a serious public health matter with the mosquitoes, West Nile virus or encephalitis, the village will most likely then result into aerial spray in some way. Will
Are you
not?
wondering if they will, or the village will, or
Well,
will that? Or
you may be ordered to do it. I don't know. Depending, or you may just make the choice to do it.
Mhm.
Is there anything in place for notifying the residents of when that will be done in their area?
Actually, there are a number of ways that we can get the word out. We can drop flyers on people's doors. We can do a mailing. We've got a Notify Me system through our website, where if you like getting emails, you'll get quite a few through the Notify Me. It's a very active system. You can sign up through our website. We also post things on Facebook. We can put announcements in our water bills. We're kind of changing up.
Yeah, but this may be a...
But in other words, there's a lot of ways we can get the word out. So
right,
the answer
but
to that is yes.
the decision may be made quite spontaneously, if you will, and need of quick action
Right.
should be taken. So is there a telephone that may be used? Can we sign up for that? Residents decide, and
Yes,
at what
yes.
time it will be done?
There's a text messaging system that is tied in through the Notify Me system. So it's not just email.
Okay,
So text
this is-
messaging would be quicker, but if you don't accept text messages, we
Well-
can talk a little bit about that. There might be some other things that are in place.
Madam
that
President,
I'm not aware
the
of.
digital age has flown past me faster than a speeding bullet,
Well, what
okay?
I'm telling you is there are other ways that we reach out to you if you don't, if
Okay.
you're not tied in digitally. So we can, yeah, go ahead.
I'll call you, John.
Yeah.
If it happens, I'll give you a call.
Or, yep, many of us can give you a call too. So it might be a call. Well, we had a calling tree at one time. That was more the board. But yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Your
Yeah,
Honor.
there's lots of ways to communicate. in other words.
We're working with District 45 and District 48 and District 88 so that we can tap into their reverse notification, which you may not receive right now, but if you have a child in the district, they have all of our cell phone numbers, and when something happens, we get sometimes 2 or 3 phone calls within 20 minutes alerting us to that. So if you want to provide maybe your cell phone number to us, we can make sure that you get texted or you get called. So we're going to actively work on that.
Okay.
So there's many modes of communication, even for people that
Well,
are
I
in the
thank you
digital
for,
age. Yeah, 'cause we try to keep that in mind.
Yeah, for bearing with me in my ignorance of this.
No, not at all. It's a good reminder. We have to remember that not everybody's linked in with the internet, and we also
Oh, no,
try to-
I'm there, but I mean, I need AppleCare to help me work through it.
Yeah, but either way, slice it. We'll do our very best to get the word out.
Thank
to
you.
you.
You can pick out what you want to get.
Anybody else on items 4 through 7 on our formal agenda? No? Okay. All right. Item number 3, amendments to the formal agenda. Does the board have anything? Want to switch up on the formal?
Let's go.
Okay, we'll move on. Item number 4, consent agenda. This is A through J. I'm just going to read the listing, the headings for the record. A, bill listing dated April 13th, 2015, in the amount of $812,326.46. B, minutes from Village COW meeting for March 23rd, 2015. C, minutes from the Village Formal Board meeting for March 23rd, 2015. D, minutes from the public hearing for March 23rd, 2015. E, first and final reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing the sale of public auction of personal property and seized vehicles owned by the Village of Villa Park. F, first and final reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending the regulations of fences for excavation. G, resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing the joint purchase of bulk rock salt through DuPage County Procurement Services Division and Morton Salt Company. H, resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a local agency agreement with the Illinois Department of Transportation, IDOT, for the Phase 1 engineering of the St. Charles Road Bridge Rehabilitation Project. I, resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing a mosquito abatement agreement for 2015, 2016, and 2017 with Clark Environmental Mosquito Management Incorporated. And J, resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing acceptance of a proposal from Chicagoland Paving Contractors Incorporated of Lake Zurich, Illinois, for pavement improvements at 2 village parking lots and waiving the requirement of competitive bidding. Motion on the consent agenda? It's a lot.
Madam President, make a motion for the consent agenda.
Okay, do we have a second?
Madam President, I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? I know we talked about pretty much everything, so you good? Nothing else come to mind? Alrighty then. Roll call vote.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
President Bullwinkle?
Yes. Okay, item number 5. Second reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, adopting an annual budget for all corporate purposes in lieu of an annual appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year commencing on May 1st, 2015 and ending on April 30th, 2016. The Village's fiscal year 2015-2016 budget ordinance provides for the continued provision of village services as well as significant capital investment as discussed during the Village's budget workshop held earlier this month. This is the first reading of the budget ordinance with ordinance adoption planned for April 13th, 2015. Have a motion on the second reading?
Madam President.
Trustee
So moved.
Aiello. Okay.
Sorry, so moved.
And Trustee Wagner, second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any additional questions and comments on this? Had several public hearings and conversations about it. Okay. Roll call vote.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
President Bullwinkle?
Yes. Item number 6 on the formal. First reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending the security deposit requirements for utility customers and clarifying the billing procedures for water and sewage services. The Village Finance Department is making several improvements to utility billing processes. The department will soon be changing bills from postcards to printed bills and envelopes, which will allow low-cost inserts for village information and events, and even paid advertising. The department is also eliminating late notice mailings and will only be printing and mailing 1 bill per month, which will include the past due amount, if applicable. In addition to these changes, security deposits on accounts will be eliminated and with valid direct debit sign-up. The section on lien fees is being clarified as previous language was sometimes confusing. Discontinuation of service is being renamed termination of service. One section will clarify that bills are sent monthly instead of quarterly. Staff recommends that the village board approve this amendment. Do I have a motion on item number 6?
Madam President,
Trustee Wolf.
make a motion for the first reading.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Madam President.
Trustee Aiello.
Second.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from our board here? Anybody? Okay. Roll call vote.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
President Bullwinkle?
Yes. Item number 7 on the formal. Resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing a separation agreement between the Village of Villa Park and William Borger, Mary Binneman, and Cecily Foley. A retirement package was put together for employees who had 25 years of service. The package was accepted by 3 employees and will be effective as of May 1st, 2015. Motion on item number 7?
Madam President,
Trustee Bolfus.
making a motion for the resolution.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Madam President, I'll second that motion.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments from the board about this? Oh, okay. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
President Bullwinkle?
Yes. Okay. Item number 8. Okay, this is public comments on non-agenda items. So if there's anybody in the audience that would like to speak up on anything non-agenda related, now's your chance. Okay. Going once, going twice. All right. We're going to move on then to item number 9, Village Clerk's Report. What do you have for us tonight?
Yes, I
Clerk
want to
Haneke?
remind the senior community that there will be a senior fair May 7th. That's a Thursday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Community Recreation Building. That's on Wildwood. And that is hosted by the Senior Concerns Commission. So they're a very busy commission.
Yes.
We have about 20 agencies right now involved in this event. And there will be a Senior of the Year announced at the event. We are waiting for, we have about, I think, 3 or 4 nominations right now. We could use some more nominations of seniors that would qualify to be honored as the Senior of the Year for 2015.
Very nice.
That will be announced at that event. And nominations can be sent here to 20 South Ardmore Avenue, attention village clerk, or to the manager's office, as long as they have on their Senior of the Year something designated on the envelope, if it comes to the manager's office directly. And so that's just a reminder, 24th of April is the final day for nominations to be received. And we hope that the senior community is aware of this, trying to get the word out every way we can. That's all. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you. That's wonderful. Okay. Village trustees report. I'll start to my right tonight. Trustee Bolt, does you have anything for us?
Just one thing. I just want to thank the residents for their support for me in the re-election and allowing me to have another 4 years. And I promise that I will continue to do what I feel is the best for the village. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Taglia.
I'd like to say congratulations to my colleagues for their re-election, and congratulations to Mr. Cazone on his election. Very nicely done. Also, I'd like to thank our village clerk. She serves as the chairperson of the Senior Concerns Commission. I was able to attend their last meeting, well, half of it. And there are a couple of openings, so if there's any seniors who are interested in becoming involved with the village, please send an application to the village president, or you can call Jenny Casale, or no? Or,
Just
oh,
the
yeah, call me. That's right. Anyway, where was I?
That did it, huh?
Yeah, that did it. Also, I serve on the Sugar Creek Golf Course Board as well. Remember Sugar Creek? It's a real gem we have here in town. Hopefully the weather stays nice. Come on down to Sugar Creek. Practice on the range and hopefully play around. Maybe have lunch down there. It's a beautiful place. That's it.
Okay. All right. To my left, Trustee Wagner.
Thank you, Madam President.
What's going on down there?
Just wanted to let the public know that the monthly meeting for the Park and Recreation Advisory Commission is tomorrow, April 14th. The meeting will start at 8:30 p.m. Not 7. It'll be 8:30 p.m.
Okay.
And I believe that they're looking for 2 new commissioners on that commission as well.
Yes.
Because 2 commissioners are not
Yeah.
not extending their terms.
That's true.
I also want to offer my congratulations to the winners of the consolidated election, but I also want to offer my congratulations to those who ran. Even for the more obscure offices, they still serve the community, and I appreciate those who came forward to run for office. It takes time and preparation and commitment, and I appreciate everyone who ran in those races. I think I'm correct in saying this, the Great Western and Prairie Path Cleanup is going to be Saturday, April 25th from 9 a.m. to noon. And then also want to let people know about a program that's occurring. And the meeting place for the cleanup is at the Historical Museum. There's an interesting program that's going to be sponsored by the Environmental Concerns Commission at the library this coming Wednesday, April 15th. It's about vermiculture. And basically, vermiculture is how worms can help turn your food scraps into a nice compost that you can use in your garden. So some people may be squeamish about that, but it's an interesting program. It's a $10 fee for the supplies for this program. So if you're interested in, if you're really committed towards composting and want to know how to get rid of your food scraps, you can still sign up. Just call the library. And that's all I have.
Boy, worms, mosquitoes. Emerald ash borer was mentioned. Boy, it's all about bugs tonight. Okay, thank you. Trustee Aiello, what you got?
I'd like to congratulate everybody also on their wins, and whoever didn't win, I condolence to you. And Pride Commission is looking for a couple of people also.
Okay.
So they're also looking for Spirit Award nominees. That's all I have for tonight.
Okay.
Thanks.
And Trustee Taglier has one more thing.
It's
while we're
important.
up here.
Congratulations to my wife, Kim, for winning her school board election. I apologize for forgetting that.
That's important.
Someone's sleeping on the couch.
Couch.
Okay. And you're all done there? You're good? Okay. All righty. We're going to move on to Village Manager's Report. Item number 11. What do you have for us?
Thank you,
Anything
Your Honor.
juicy tonight?
Some things. Just wanted to alert everyone that the Railroad Safety Week is April 27th through May 3rd. Working together, we can keep our community safe. I'm going to be having our PIO officer tweet out a number of 10 easy tips that can save lives. Never walk or play on train tracks. It's dangerous and illegal. But we'll put this on our website, and there's some great information inside this booklet, and it'll also be tweeted out. I received a letter from ComEd, very timely, and if you remember, ComEd came around our community and changed out the meters. So ComEd has contract with MZI Group to perform repairs to meter fittings and related equipment that require additional licensed electrician personnel. So you may see the MZI Group come around and perform maintenance on your new meter. So please be aware of that. And
There's no charge to
there's
the
no
resident.
charge.
Yeah, so you won't get a bill or anything for that.
And then, folks, we talked about the Arbor Day and some tree plantings, but we did not talk about our new wooden bronze tree. So, Director Golda, would you like to tell us a little bit about the bronze tree? You've been asking all week to talk about it.
And for the folks at home, there we go.
Hey,
The folks at home, this is what we're
stand by
referring
the tree,
to.
you'll be on TV.
Bring the
It's on
mic
the
up.
wall, Director
Oh, I have the
Greenbaum.
mic. Yeah.
Thank you, Manager Keener. Our staff, Parks Department staff, they're pretty talented guys. They built that, made the tree and stained it and did all the work. We had a local engraver, Addison Engraving, did the engraving. And is basically for the Adopt a Tree program, the Centennial. The Centennial kicked it off last year. We had a lot of people take advantage and purchase trees that we plant on the parkways. And it's still active, so if you would like to purchase a tree to plant on your parkway, we're still accepting those applications, and we'll be happy to plant the tree in your parkway, especially since the emerald ash borer trees have been decimated. So we really want to replace all the trees that we lost in the village. And that's just the tree commemorates all those who had donated and purchased trees. So thank you to all those people that have done so already, and for those that will be doing so in the future.
Yes. And the cost is $200?
I believe it's $200.
And there's 5 different species, I believe, that...
Rich Salerno probably can answer better than I
Pretty
could
sure there's
on the species.
It's a variety of trees,
Yeah.
so, if in the future we hit another disease of some sort, we don't get mass destruction,
Right.
basically what we've had.
We don't want to
with
plant them
ash,
with the same
yeah,
species.
Mixing it up a little bit for that purpose. So. Yes, manager would like to add one more thing?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sure.
In fact, what we did is we had one of our residents that lives on Yale help us go through the Morton Arboretum to select certain varieties that were hardy and to assist us stay away from those that obviously are not, that would cause to be replaced in a few years. So again, if you're interested, $200 would purchase a tree, and we'll add your name to the bronze tree here in our chamber. So with that, Your Honor, I pass.
He's referring to John Dwyer, Mr. Dwyer. So if you're watching, thank you for that. Been involved with forestry for many years, and that coupled with our staff came up with a plan. So, all right. Thank you very much. Item number 12, village attorney.
No report.
No report? Okay. Item number 13 is consider executive session A5ILCS 120-2 C1, Personnel Matters and Collective Bargaining. B, 5ILCS 120-2 C5, Purchase or Lease of Property. C, 5IL 120-2 C6, Sale or Lease of Property. D, 5ILCS 120-2 C11, Pending Litigation. E, 5ILCS 120-2 C21, Discussion of Closed Session Minutes. And F, 5ILCS 120-2 C28, Meetings between internal or external auditors and governmental audit committees, finance committees, and their equivalents. Have a motion to convene to exec session?
Madam President,
No? Trustee Wagner?
I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Madam President?
Trustee
Second.
Bolfus. Okay. We'll do a roll call vote on that.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
No.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
No.
President Bullwinkle?
Oh, boy. Oh. I'm going to say no because we don't have a full board tonight for that. So, and that would have come up anyway if we'd gone in there. So yes. So it looks like we're not going into exec session tonight.
I'd like to make a motion to
We're
adjourn.
going to do a motion to adjourn then, I guess.
Yep.
Second.
All right, we have a second? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, then, our next board meeting is coming up on Monday, April 27th, 7:30 here, Village Hall.
It's like being
We hope to see you. Thank you. Thank you, Villa Park. Appreciate it.
He's an engineer. Right. That's my buddy.
Yeah.